In today's episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction to the 2025 movie, The Fantastic Four First Steps, taking our first steps with this new and maybe improved. We'll see my review of the movie Fantastic Four. So, with that being said, let's dive right into this summer blockbuster, The Fantastic Four First Steps. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. I'm stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. So coming into this Fantastic Four um, reboot sort of thing, I didn't really watch any of the old movies. I knew of the characters. I think I had some action figures. The Thing is classic. Reed Richards. I think I had one of the little toys where you just stretch it to shit, and it was you could. I had like a weird experience where I stretched mine so much you could see the metal wiring, um, or like you felt the metal wiring coming out of it. Um, anyways, obviously those Johnny Torch is classic. I mean, I haven't even seen enough of these movies that when Chris Evans pulled up in Deadpool and Wolverine, I was like, who the fuck is this? Because I didn't watch any of the previous Fantastic Four. So this one, has been on the list for a while because I'm just a blind MCU robot at this point. I'll just go and see every MCU movie. I do have my goal of hitting 12 movies in theaters this year, which we are getting close to the end, but I think I'm going to make it for sure. I think this was number 9 or 8. Either way, we're going to see Avatar. We're going to see Long Walk, maybe him and One Battle After Another. We're good with the numbers. Also, Tron Ares looks really good. But yeah, I mean, this movie was good, like cautiously good. There were a couple things that stuck out to me, mostly with, it felt like this was a setup movie. And I think looking back on this movie, it'll be like kind of like a Captain America's first event or Captain America First Avenger type movie where like the story's good, but well, the thing I didn't like a lot is because they don't fight anything. Like we don't Reed Richards stretches once in this movie. The Thing is like not very powerful. Johnny Torch does some stuff, but this is like a Sue Richards movie where she just goes crazy. And yeah, this new cast, Pedro Pascal, I liked the fit originally, but I'm not sure I love him as Reed Richards. I think honestly he's probably my least favorite match of the group. Ebon Moss Backrack is a boss. Obviously, now he's doubling over from being in Punisher. He's now in this, so technically, is he in both of these? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with the MCU bullshit. But yeah, I didn't think he popped off the screen either as the Thing with this movie. Mostly, I'll give credit to Joseph Quinn. I thought he did a great job playing Johnny Torch. Joseph Quinn from this freaking like 25-year-old in high school and Stranger Things. Like that kid's odd, but he did a great job playing him. And then he comes to this movie, you don't have high expectations. You're like, that's just the one kid from Stranger Things. He did a great job in this movie. So I really liked my two favorite characters were Human Torch and Invisible Woman. Also, Julia Garner shows up from Weapons. I didn't watch Weapons, Weapons fame, and Ozark, another Netflix show. But yeah, I thought for sure I don't know what her natural voice is, whether if it's like her in Ozark where she's like, I don't know shit about fuck, that type of thing. Because I've thought for sure I was gonna have like a like hillbilly ass, no offense, don't want to get shot by Dell Ozark reference, but no, he said redneck. Anyways, I was worried that we're gonna get this like weird Silver Surfer type, or not so well weird voice for Silver Surfer, and I don't even know what Silver Surfer is supposed to be. I just thought that would be weird if she was like, from the South or whatever. But she did a decent enough job. Like you wouldn't, I had no idea that you could actually had no idea that it was Julia Garner. When I see Weapons, maybe I'll be able to like, oh, that's her real voice, and she was just playing a part. Obviously, like in The Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln's British, but he just talks like an American, so you just think you'd have an American voice. Anyways, yeah. Um, Overall stuff like superhero movie, obviously, runtime an hour 54 minutes, felt pretty breezy for that. Didn't feel like too long of a time, but definitely, it was. You could be like, oh, that was around 2 hours. Makes sense. Director Matt Shackman, we don't really know him besides a couple shows he's been on, which are two in my top 10, Game of Thrones. I think I have number three or four. I keep debating with that and something else, I forget. But the ending is just so, bad that it makes it suck. But Succession is all. He also did a Succession episode. He did two Game of Thrones episodes, and then he did WandaVision. So no movies from Matt Shackman, but for a directorial kind of debut into my dubcast career of watching these movies, thought this was a fine movie. We'll get to my review score at the end. Um, some more overall thoughts. Yeah, I thought this was cool that they weren't just in the MCU regular bullshit 777 or whatever it's called, 677. I lost track at this point. Like, I'm glad everything's kind of coming back together to tie into this multiverse because it's hard to keep track who's where and whatever. And I like that they're also just from like the 1950s, but this is like a very like the way I describe this movie is like very buttoned up. Like everything feels like very not superficial, but just like official. It's like everything's so like there are these heroes in the town, and they get like they all have their own little separate roles on society, which I thought was a really interesting like side plot to the movie. It's not even like really a side plot; it's like a side plot to a side plot. Um, but them just being in the city as just normal civilians, and also having these sort of civilian roles in uh, what's her name is in Sue. I don't know why I'm blanking. Sue is like part of government. Reed is a scientist. Johnny Torch just kind of fucks around and gets bitches, I guess. And then they were all astronauts and stuff, so that's cool. I thought that was an interesting, kind of intro to them where there's already these built up heroes. Like this is their intro story to us, but we don't even know their intro story because um, they're kind of just already being immersed into the universe, which I think has performed well recently. Like Superman, I thought was a pretty good movie with him being not thrown like he's in like his second or third year of being on Earth. He kind of is already established. We don't have to go through the usual bullshit like Robert Pattinson Batman. We don't need to watch his parents die for the 90 millionth time. He's in like a second or third year of being Batman. So maybe the MCU is trying to capitalize off of that hype with those types of movies. Not the intro stuff set up for the whole MCU stuff. And I think there is maybe something in the back of their head being like, let's rush these guys in because we're having these two Avengers movies and we need the Fantastic Four there, we need Doctor Doom there, which we'll definitely get to in a bit. But yeah, I think the setting of this movie is very cool. Like for what it was in the city, like I think it's a cool scenics. Like everything's it seems modern, but you have to remind yourself, oh, that's 1954. Obviously, the place they live is awesome, and people are gonna kill me. Sorry, guys. I don't watch the comics. I don't watch the comics. I don't read no comic books, man. I don't know the lore. I had to look up a certain character, which we'll talk about later after this, and apparently they're one of the most like powerful beings in the universe. Save me, man. But I'm just a casual, so I don't know any of this stuff. I know the tower's called something fun, and I have it, or I had it at one point in my life. I don't have it right now. Nonetheless, um, yeah. So big plot twist. I guess this was kind of not predicted, but everyone kind of just knew that Sue was pregnant throughout this movie. So this felt very like royal family having a baby, where they bring out the baby outside and everyone's around taking pictures. Some royal family type shit, I called it, but I think that's an interesting foil to the movie where you see like Reed becoming super paranoid and trying to prepare as much as possible for the baby, where Sue's like, let's just have a baby and be normal. And that kind of takes up the first third or so of the movie before they get to their conflict. So our girl Julia Garner makes her entrance as Silver Surfer. I thought her intro was really hyped. Like imagine just someone showing up on. First of all, if someone showed up on the Earth right now and was like, "You guys are marked for death. You're gonna die," like either everyone would be on Twitter saying that's not real, or everyone would be losing their shit. Like I can't imagine today's society doing that or dealing well with that. Like I think maybe this goes back or not goes back, but maybe this just speaks to my like thoughts and our pessimism on society, where I'm not so sure, bro, that we would solve this shit like the Fantastic Four did. I mean, let me know if you guys disagree. Am I being too pessimistic? I don't. If the Silver Surfer came, bro, I'm good. Anyways, her marking the planet for death. I like that scene of her just being like, "You guys are marked for death," and then dipping, and then also Johnny Torch trying to catch up to her in the sun, and then she says one thing to him, sends him down. So we get the kind of the mission preparation where they're going to travel outside of the world, which, you know, for them having all this technology in 1950s is pretty good, considering they probably, well, I think they were the first ones to go to the moon. That's why they're the astronauts, and they got changed through some space shit. But yeah, I like that this little intro to Galactus where they show he's overpowered as fuck. Like, I feel like some of the villains in the MCU have been pretty lacking lately. You know, a guy with like mangled brains in Captain America. Well, the guy in Thunderbolts was OP, but I guess he just can't face the power of friendship. Um, and so like this is cool to get kind of like almost to a not a Thanos level, but like a Thanos, and well, not a Thanos level threat like all the way, but to a Thanos level threat in a degree where it's like this guy could just eat planets and fuck you up, you know. So I like that they show him as kind of a threat. Even considering that Reed and Sue have these like supernatural, obviously all of them have supernatural abilities, but he's like, nah, I'm taking your shit. I want the baby. And yeah, so I'm not sure of Galactus's motivation. I'm not sure if that's ever properly explained. Like, why does he just want to fuck around and eat planets? I guess, you know, at the end of the day, we do need a villain to be evil. Oh, sorry. We do need a villain to be evil and to cause conflict for our heroes. So I guess it's just like, yeah, he's not a good person, so he'll do this shit just to eat planets and be good and or not be good, but be bad. And he senses right away that the baby in Sue's chest, I don't know, in stomach, sorry, I don't know what the proper verbiage is for that, excuse me, is the one to be take his throne, which is crazy that you can predict someone who hasn't even exited the womb is going to be this all powerful being. I guess that's how powerful, and this is what I was saying earlier. I should have known who Franklin Richards is, man. I don't know who Franklin is. I had to look him up, and apparently he's could like fuck up everybody in the comic books at least. So I hope he. Well, we do get a time jump at the end of the movie. So I'm hoping he can grow up, become a that beast, and then fight some Avengers and some shit like Secret Wars. Man, I'm looking forward to that. Nonetheless, they're able to escape from Galactus, but I did like the scene of them like you see how powerful Galactus is. There's like somewhat of a motivation for him to come to Earth now and not destroy it. So it makes sense why he wouldn't just destroy the planet like he said he would. Even though it's a little bit miffling to a person who doesn't read the comic books, in my opinion. And so yeah, they dip, and I'm assuming a lot of people like the scene of Sue giving birth in space. You know, it's beautiful. Life is created in space. I guess I don't know. I didn't care much for it. Just thought it was another scene in the movie, but cool. The baby is born. So this leads to kind of the thematic conflict of the movie where they could give up the kid and Galactus won't come destroy their planet, or they're going to be quote unquote selfish, you know, and keep the kid and then not and risk the chance that Galactus will come and fuck them up and just take the kid anyway. So when they get back to Earth, Reed Richards, bro, if you guys know anything about football, this is the comparison I made. He had a Gerard Mayo ass press conference, bro, where he's like, yeah, we had the chance to just like stop world destruction, but he asked for our baby, so we said no. And then everyone hates them. And maybe this is a theme of the summer 2025 superhero movies where Superman was hated as well. And, you know, you can kind of, well, I'm trying to just draw parallels because these are the most two recent superhero movies, but, you know, every superhero has their day where people hate them. And then all of a sudden, Sue is able to just bring the baby out and be like, look, he's a fucking baby. You guys are being wimps and we're going to solve this shit. Let's rally together. Which, once again, I don't think that could happen in today's society. Call me a glass half empty, but y'all know deep down that I'm true. Everyone would be freaking out. Just, you know what? I'm not going to say it. So, terrible press performance from Reed Richards. Honestly, like I said before, I think Reed's my least favorite of the Fantastic Four so far. And I don't want to blame Pedro because we've seen Pedro do some crazy shit lately. Like his performance in Last of Us was amazing. Obviously, you know, he's known for Game of Thrones. What else is he in? You guys know the Pedro Pascal lore. He had a run a couple years ago where it was like he basically was on a Chalamet run, and him getting this job feels like, or him getting this role felt like the coronation of all that, his hype like coming to fruition. So, yeah, but he's not. I was never empathetic for Reed. Like, and he's spending this all this time like doing no, he's doing stuff, but it's like he's so serious. He doesn't take life. He's not like my man Johnny Torch. You know, maybe I empathize the most with Johnny Torch because he's the closest to my age range. But man, I was like, Reed, bro, get a grip on life. Like everything, have a glass of beer, man. A glass of beer. Drink a can of beer, man. You're freaking out, dude. Jeez, the baby's gonna be all right, bro. You did 90,000 tests. But he does end up solving the problem of Galactus, which we'll get to. Johnny Torch has a side quest where, you know, the movie superhero movies are obviously always going to be tropey. So he's the one who's like his knowledge is disrespected, and then he got that one sound bite from Silver Surfer when he went up to space with her. So from that one sound bite, he's able to like decipher the language and stuff and figure out uh, everything. But I like Johnny Torch, like I said before, probably my favorite of the film. Well, it's between him and Sue. You know, Sue's impact at the end is crazy, but I did like Johnny Torch's arc throughout this movie, and I do think he or Sue are the best casting. I think they're 1A, 1B right now for me. I don't know who I'm going to go with, back and forth type thing. So, yeah, I mentioned the speech already by Sue to the crowd. I thought it was a little corny, but it did have some aura of just like going into this fountain. Or she's in like a fountain type thing. It's like, Franklin, man, look at him, you know? And you guys want this baby to die? Where it's like, potentially thousands of babies could die when they're on the line, or millions. I don't know how many people were on in 1950. Obviously, we've gone through a generational population boost, but yeah, man, corny but some aura. Like we all know someone who's a little corny but has aura. You know, I think that can be part of aura. And I'm just going to talk about aura every podcast now. Uh, no, it was corny, you know. And but the superhero movies, you have to acknowledge that they're going to be tropey. That'll reflect in the score. Don't worry. So Reed's big plan is to teleport Earth. Seems so impossible. We're gonna get all these lasers around the world, and this is gonna move the Earth somewhere that's and are habitable for everyone. And then Galactus isn't gonna find you right away because I'm sure Galactus hasn't done research on like thousands of planets and where to go to find these planets. With Silver Surfer, you can just freaking go somewhere, you know. So I always thought this plan wasn't really going to work. It seemed like far fetched as fuck, even though they are pretty smart. I just was like, that's not going to work, guys. But it seems to be working so far. And then Johnny is able to stop Silver Surfer once the day of reckoning comes for the baby, and clocks her ass on who she is and what she's been doing. So she made a deal with the devil, saved her own planet in order to give out these planets to Galactus in servitude. This unfortunately for me was another very predictable plot twist on what was going to happen at the end. Once you hear the story, but good for Silver Surfer. Sorry about that. Yeah, I liked Silver Surfer's character, but this felt for like the ending to her character felt pretty forced to me personally. Um, but it's a cool backstory, and I wish we spent a little more time. You know, we're only at an hour 54 minutes. We could have spent a little more time with Silver Surfer and her backstory and who she was and why she did what she did. You know, she has kids. We see, so I thought that was interesting. And then the final plan is created once the teleporting ship is just destroyed instantly by Silver Surfer, just gliding right through it. So their plan is to lure in Galactus through the machine, or set him up under a machine, and then teleport him to a different universe and say bye bye forever. But this plan was bad too because they didn't like. I get it, you're using a baby as bait, and you don't want to like take the baby or have a chance of the baby going. But Galactus like steps foot on the Earth, and they pull him out. Like you got to keep the baby there. You're first of all, Johnny Torch can fly, and second of all, instantly everyone's gonna know. Maybe they're gonna go to the big tower that has the four in it. Like in theory, Galactus could just sense where the baby is. So I guess that's the thing as well. But yeah, I thought they pulled him too soon. Wasn't a real plan because they didn't show any like gall for actually wanting to do this. New old Mike has been restored. Just as things are getting back to the pinpoint of it all, Galactus is going to take the baby. Sue goes freaking crazy mode where she's able to single handedly stop him with all her might, literally killing her. So good job, Sue carried this whole thing. Johnny goes in for the sacrifice to be the last one to push Galactus into this universe to send him out forever. But who comes in? Obviously, Silver Surfer sacrifices because, first of all, the Fantastic Four would make no sense if like Johnny Torch just dipped to a side universe, or unless they wanted to like explain that away in the first like 5 minutes of a movie, because we already have a post credit scene of them pulling up in Thunderbolts. Um, but yeah, it's kind of obvious to me that Silver Surfer would make the play. I mean, the person I watched this movie with, I said the same thing to them. I was like, Silver Surfer's gonna come in there and do her thing. So fine ending. Tropey is it is what it is, but yeah, Sue is dead from this, literally dead, and is then revived by Franklin by just placing the baby on top of Sue. The kid revives her, and that's when the alarm bells are clicking in my head. Like, wait, who actually is this kid? Um, so yeah, that's how it ended out. Everything ends nice, coronation by the crowd. Yeah, I thought this movie was pretty solid, bro, for what it is for the MCU, what they've been putting out lately. Um, there is one more thing: the Doom post credit scene, mid credit scene, second post credit scene was horrible as usual. I've been alerted by the fact of when I had that one TikTok that the workers are just known to stay. They have to stay till a certain time anyway. So I won't go on and on about the post credit scene, but I am close to drawing the point of just getting up and going. This adds another 25 minutes to the movies experience. Just moved out and I'm further from the movies. It's like, dude, I don't have time to watch a cartoon pixelation of the characters. Like the Doom mid credit scene was hype. I will say that, but you could just put that at the end of the movie. Not do the mid credit scene, but this shit's been going on since fucking 2006, so I doubt it's gonna change. But yeah, Doctor Doom obviously is going to be making his appearance in the next Avengers movies, which should be dope coming up. And there's a cool scene of him playing with Franklin, so I wonder how that's going to go because we already know from the Thunderbolts post-credit scene that they're on a ship headed to the Earth, whatever Earth they're on, 616, that the rest of this MCU's on. So that was a good scene by Doom Aura for sure. So where did I land on this movie? I gave it a 7.6. It's a hard one to rank where it's like I wanted to see them fight a lot more, but this content we got was pretty solid. Like I mentioned, a couple scenes I really liked in there. I like Johnny Torch. I like Sue. The thing was affable enough. I wasn't really the biggest Reed Richards fan, but it is what it is, and it's not a bad movie. Like I'm not pissed off that I went to go see this movie in theaters. I'm glad I saw it, and I'm excited for what they'll be moving forward. What the Fantastic Four will be, how they can expand upon the story. I think it's a good intro. Just wish we could see a little bit more, especially from like Reed in action, the Thing in action. Felt like we got decent, Torch, and I'm harping on the same things, yeah. But 7.6, the Fantastic Four first steps. Thought this was a good, decent first step into their world. So where does this movie rank amongst the other movies reviewed so far on the Dubcast? This is actually the 70th movie on the channel. Comes in at number 42. Beats out other 7.6 counterparts. Other movies we give a 7.6. So I think I like this movie a little bit better than Molly's Game, The Hunt for Red October, and Backdraft. I do have The Little Things a little bit over this movie. I feel like my affinity for that movie has just gone crazy over time. Maybe I'll have to hit a rewatch at some point. Probably never, but you never know. And we've done 7 superhero movies, including this one. Unfortunately for this movie, it comes at number 5. I think that's a fair spot considering the movies we have. So this is going to beat out Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts. I like this slightly better than Thunderbolts, but this movie does lose to Deadpool and Wolverine, which I thought brought a lot of different aspects to that movie and was a pretty solid time. Superman, which you can go check out that review that I just did a couple weeks ago, and then both the Spider-Man. Animated movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, don't feel like I'm giving, like I don't feel like I'm putting down the Fantastic Four. Like those are all good movies. So number 5, I think, is a decent spot for it. And like I mentioned before, the quest to see 12 movies in theaters this year is on. This is the 9th movie I've seen in theaters in 2025. And of those 9 movies, unfortunately, again, it's a low score, but the movies have been good, bro. Like, when I was putting this graph together, I'm like, damn, we had some good movies this year. So this is number seven of the nine movies so far. Obviously, still beating Captain America: Brave New World. This does lose out to it beat Thunderbolts too. So the bottom three MCU. Maybe I should stop seeing MCU movies. Yeah, so beats Thunderbolts and Captain America: Brave New World again, but this does lose out slightly to Ballerina, slightly to The Amateur. Definitely lose out to F1, 28 years later, Superman, and Sinners. All of those four were pretty solid movies. Amateur I liked as well, but and Ballerina. I liked all. I see. I am optimistic about some things. So yeah, that's where we'll leave off this movie review. What did you guys think of the Fantastic Four? First steps. Thought it was okay, and well, I thought it was good. Like I thought it was overall good. There were just some aspects that I would have tweaked a little bit in my opinion, but that's just me. So would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this down below in the comments. And then we'll be back with another movie review soon. So until that, be easy, y'all.